Last class we discussed about different types of research. We explore something, we describe something, and then we try to find out association, relationship, and on the basis of one variable, we predict or forecast another variable. So this is very common method of doing a research, and let us continue now. Start today with Unit 3, and I hope you remember in Unit 2 we have discussed different types of research, and then we talk about research design also. Now today in Unit 3 the emphasis would be on questionnaire and reliability and validity of that questionnaire. So questionnaire basically in technical language we call it scale. So whatever questions you keep in your questionnaire, these all are basically, we call them items or questions in technical language. And the whole questionnaire, questions, if we bring all the questions together, and what is the purpose of this questionnaire? The reason is the use of this questionnaire is actually you are measuring a particular construct. For example, if you want to understand motivation among students, right, the perspective, the context could be learning or maybe some other area, but here what you are measuring the motivation. Now in social science, measuring motivation, measuring performance, measuring intelligence, these are the terms which are multidimensional, highly abstract terms. So whenever we have multidimensional, highly abstract terms, we need to measure it with the help of questions, different questions. Now when we bring all together these different questions, the question arises here, is this all different questions or items actually measuring the construct or measuring something else? So if all these questions together measuring the same thing, for example, if you are interested in measuring motivation, if this is actually measuring motivation, then it's absolutely fine. So this measurement, this scale, this questionnaire, so these are three same things. Either you call it questionnaire, scale, or measure, right? And if you understand this, how to measure it, how to go for it, then you go for reliability and validity of your scale, of your questionnaire, right? So what is this reliability, what is this validity, what is this skill, and what we are measuring, what we are not measuring? So today we start with development of scale, what types of scale we have, and for analytical empirical research purpose what kind of scale we need to develop. So it would be a bit technical, please pay attention, listen carefully, it's gonna be a very important thing. So what we're gonna cover today, how to develop a questionnaire or a scale, reliability of measure or scale, how reliable, whatever questions you have, can you rely upon that? Then the validity of the construct, then develop your own scale or not. So what you need to do, because generally you might have seen whenever you see PhD work, MPhil work on any research work, they say that we have structured our own questionnaire, right? Now next we will discuss when measure construct, and then finally we will talk about the validity, that would be in terms of factor analysis, and that factor analysis would be exploratory factor analysis and conformity factor analysis. Basically factor analysis is not in this unit, but I will give you some idea, right everybody? So let us start today's discussion, and our discussion would be, uh, before I move further, let me give you some background. So we have two types of sciences. One is soft science, another is hard science. And hard science like physics, chemistry, biology. The beauty of this science, hard science, is you can easily replicate, you can easily repeat it. Maybe whatever chemical you are having and you want to see the reaction of a chemical in chemistry. So if you conduct it in Delhi University, in other university in India, sorry, or in any university abroad, you can easily replicate it and you can easily repeat it. The output will remain same of these kind of experiment. The reason is simple. When you conduct this kind of experiment in a laboratory, basically you control the environment. You control the environment in a lab. Now, is this the same in social science? Let me see your reflection, everybody. Is this the same in social science? Can we control the environment like we do in social science, in hard science? Let me see your reflection, everybody. Tell me in your chat box. Okay, Himani says no. Devya say no. Okay, great. Go ahead, everybody. Darshna say no. Darshna, what is the reason why we can't control environment or other variables in social science? Okay. So in social science, basically we talk about people as individual and people as in a group, individual in a group. So here their like, their dislike keep on changing, their behavior keep on changing. So it would be very difficult to understand the term motivation, the term leadership, the term intelligence, the term performance. So like in hard science, we can control a lot of variables like we have been talking here. Okay, so as we mentioned, in physics, chemistry, biology, you can easily, whatever experiment you conduct, whatever study you have conducted, you can easily replicate it across the whole world. And you will see when you repeat it, replicate it, the output remains same. The reason is simple, that you perform this experiment in a controlled environment in a lab. So I must say here that research in hard science is easy in comparison to social science or in soft science. So if we talk about soft science, like management, social sciences, and humanity, it's a highly abstract terms, very abstract terms. And social science, management, humanity, nature wise, these all terms are very complex, very complex. For example, management. Management, understanding a management like planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, these look like very easy, that yeah, it's a scientific way to conduct organized management activity. But here, besides science, it's an art also. Managing people, managing activity, cooperating, coordinating, this all actually not only a science but also a art, because it totally depend on a person who govern you, who manage you, his personality, her personality, his behavior, his way of talking, his way of behaving with you, controlling you, managing you. So what is important, that yes, there is a little bit science in management or social science or humanity, but it's more about the art in terms of the learning you have had in terms of practices, and your learning in terms of experience. And when we talk about research, especially in soft science, in terms of management, social science, and humanity, the research is very complex, because whatever you prove today, right, now the environment is totally different. If you conduct it after 1 week or after 1 month or 2 month or 6 month or 1 year, you will see there would be a variation in your result, variation in your output and outcome. The reason is simple, as Darshana has mentioned, that here in management, social science and humanity, basically we are talking about human being, and human being by nature, they are very dynamic and their behavior is very complex to understand. Today they like this, tomorrow they may not like that. Today they dislike, tomorrow may they like that. So that's why understanding this is understanding human nature, human behavior is very complex. And secondly, whatever term we have in management, whatever terms we have in management, these all terms are basically abstract terms. These are not pure science, right? These all are very abstract terms, multidimensional terms, like we as mentioned, communication skill. What is communication skill? If we talk about performance, performance would be having different dimensions to understand performance. Motivation for me would be different. Motivation for each and every student in a class would be different to attend the class. And if you conduct a survey today and you conduct tomorrow, you will see things would remain, things will become different, things will vary over here. Very simple example. If you ask me to deliver this lecture today evening or tomorrow morning, same lecture, same content, same student, you will see the way I'm talking, the way I'm giving a response, the way I'm reflecting, there would be some kind of variation maybe in tomorrow, or maybe if you discuss this matter today in the evening, you will see response would be different. The example would be different. The reason is this: human being, they are very dynamic. They are very complex by nature. So when they are very dynamic, they right now they like something, maybe after 1 or 2 hours their like will become dislike. So it's very difficult to understand. And then, because we are talking about human being, it's a human subject, so there is no only a one variable which gonna affect us. There may be a large number of variables which play an important role in deciding the behavior of a human being or a people. And if you feel that this has become on the basis of some practice, this has become on the basis of experience, a particular principle, particular theory, it's not mandatory that same theory, same principle would be applicable in other community, other locality, other society. The reason is simple: each and every society, each and every community will have their own if and but, they will have their own dynamics, they will have their own variables. And because of that, you can't control variables due to different factors. So there have been a lot of different factors. You cannot actually control all these variables. So I believe on the basis of these two slides, we can conclude that soft science, that is management, social science and humanity, is more difficult task if you compare it with the pure science or a hard science, this science. Because here, hard science you can easily replicate, you can easily repeat. Output will remain same when you conduct an experiment. The reason is simple: you are able to control the environment in a lab. But opposite to that, whatever we whatever research we conduct, the first thing, the terms which we use in social science, in management and humanity, these all are uh, it's a big dimensions, abstract, highly abstracted terms, and these terms are complex by nature. And today what you feel may not have same kind of feeling tomorrow, right? And there have been a large number of variable. They may be directly or indirectly controlling your behavior, and that's why it would be very complex to replicate the same phenomena, same argument, same theory in other places. And this is very difficult to control the different factors or variable in soft science. And unfortunately, fortunately, we all are in soft science, So this is our duty, this is our role to make it easy, in the sense that we should go for more and more scientific way of conducting a research. If you go with a right procedure, right kind of way to use scientific way, then what will happen? You will have more acceptance. Your work will have more acceptance, and you will be able to replicate your work, and then you will be easily able to tell people that these terms are complex, these are the limitation, but I have used scientific way of conducting a research, so now you can replicate it, now you can understand it, because I have defined each and every element, each and every ingredient of the research of the topic, and now I try to capture it because my information is reliable and validated, right? So what we are doing, we are trying our best. So in soft science, to more concern, even it's very hard to decide what variable is, right? Variable means which factor is affecting, you never know, you don't understand that, right? So this is important here. Why you have been behaving in certain way? You never know. This is because of something which is there, and which may not be there. So you're not sure because of which you are behaving in a such a way. You are reacting in such a way. For example, if I ask you, how does motivation look like? What are the features of motivation? Right? So can you see or understand, or you can see that this is motivation, these are feature of motivation, and the term like motivation, basically uh, these you can understand through the impact. Now what is this impact? Now suppose I make a survey in your class that how motivated you people are to attend this program, right? So because we have teacher student relationship, so in general your reply would be that you are highly motivated or demotivated to attend the highly demotivated to attend the class, right? That could be two different orientation. One orientation you like the most, second you hate this class. Okay. Now is this the right way to understand motivation among a student? No. Basically, if you want to understand motivation, you need to see the impact. Impact would be in terms that if you don't attend this class on time, if you all don't join this class, that means you are not motivated to attend the class. So motivation we will see among students not only by asking questions, by observing their behavior, observing them and see the impact. And that impact we can check, as far as motivation is concerned, that is possible through see your behavior. So if you want to understand motivation among employees in an institution, if you go directly and ask employee, tell me how motivated you are to come to this and place, and what is your motivation level? So all more people will say because they are getting their salary, they are working for an organization, they will say they are highly motivated. So if you really want to understand the motivation among employees of an organization, what you need to do, if you want to know about the motivation of Mr. X, so don't talk to Mr. X, go and talk to meet the friend or the colleague of Mr. X, maybe Mr. Y or Mr. Z, and ask a question about Mr. X from Mr. Y and Z, that you are friend of Mr. X, you keep observing your friend's behavior. Now first question would be, do you think he or she always ready to listen, always ready to participate in different activity, or come office on time, pay attention, he or she perform work on a time? I mean, I'm talking about Mr. X. So Mr. X performance or impact would be, actually we are measuring that on the basis of that output or outcome of Mr. X or impact of Mr. X, that how motivated he or she is, right? So this is what, it's very difficult which variable you are talking about, how does it look like, and we understand sometime not directly asking a question to a right person, but asking a question to a person who actually observed that. So that is somewhere bit odd that we are not talking to a right person, but we are asking someone else to reflect on a person response, right? So here you can see that soft science is bit different, bit more difficult if you compare it with the hard science. Okay, so let us move further. So here we have few examples of soft science constructs. The first is intelligence. Can you actually measure intelligence? Can you actually clearly, precisely define the term intelligence? Same thing with prejudice. Can you actually explain it in the term the way we define the science? Self-esteem, introversion, forgiveness, motivation, and so on and so forth. Right? Engagement, satisfaction, leadership, communication. These all are highly abstract terms. These all are constructs and they all represent soft science constructs. And these all terms are very difficult to measure actually, right? And as a social science, this is our duty. This is our duty to understand these terms, to measure these terms. How is it possible? Let us see. We continue with the term intelligence. We all believe that we all are intelligent, and we are. That's why we are here in this class. Now, if someone wishes to measure your intelligence level, hmm, so intelligence here, where is the intelligence? Intelligence is this bold dark line. You can see, I can show you with the help of arrow. So this is actually a intelligence, actual intelligence, right? Now this dot line, this we understand that this is, we are here on dot line, and our responsibility as a research scholar is to reduce this gap as much as possible. This dot line should come close to this dark line, but we are here and actual reality, this is actual reality, and this is what observed reality or the presumed reality. Can we make it zero, this difference? Can we make it zero? Let me see your reflection, everybody. Can we make this gap zero? Yes. Tell me, everybody. Put remarks in your chat box or you can unmute your mic. Tell me, can we minimize this difference between the dark line and the dot line? Say yes or no in your chat box, everybody. Can we make this difference equal to zero? Sir, we can minimize, but we can't make it zero. Okay. Himani, why we can't make it zero? Minimize it. Okay. What about others? Tell me. So we can minimize it, but why we can't make it zero? Okay, maybe we don't have right tool to actually measure the construct called intelligence. Can we actually measure the construct intelligence? 100%? No. Right? What may be the reason why we can't measure it correctly with accuracy of 100%? Let me ask someone else. Anjana. Anjana. Anjana Bindu. Anjana. Divya. Okay, okay, sorry. Ekta. Ekta Yadav. Gautam Sharma. Gautam Sharma. Himani Grover. No, that is okay if definition is not there, but our duty is to reach up to 100% accuracy. As you mentioned, it's not possible in social science. But what are the reason? Is it the one reason only that it's a multidimensional? That's why we cannot capture it with 100% accuracy? Or what is the reason? Can you? No, just forget about other variable, other factors. We are just trying to capture only intelligence. Okay. There is no scientific, but IQ test is there which help us to capture intelligence. That is not scientific or accurate, Himani. No, no. Just forget about other dimension. We are not talking about other dimension, right? Our duty is actually in social science to capture one variable. Okay, one variable we have intelligence. So we, as I mentioned, we have a scientific way also. If you use scientific way, then acceptability of research would be high. So to capture intelligence, we have very sophisticated, highly reputed tool. We call it IQ. So where is the issue with IQ test? Can't we say, can we not say that yes, it's 100% accurate? Meenakshi, Meghna, Navjot Kaur, Neha Yadav. No, okay, bring together, no problem. IQ and EQ. So do you think IQ test and EQ test actually capturing intelligence? Can we say like that with 100% accuracy? Yeah, Neha. Why can't it be 100%? Because IQ and EQ test is a test which has been, accepted, validated, and tested everywhere on this earth. Okay, the reason is simple. There may be two reasons of accuracy. One reason is that when you design questions, right, you design in a way that sometimes the respondent, they don't understand these questions. This happens many times, right? So if these kind of questions are there, there could be one issue, right? When you read question, you understand question, and you figure out that you don't understand question the way you have asked this question. That may be the one way of one problem or one issue, right? That's why we are not able to give right response. Second response would be that when you give a response, what position you are in, that means what kind of mood you have. That is the second reason. Maybe you are highly influenced by something, or you are biased. That could be a second scenario, right? And third, which is very important here, in social science, we are not 100% sure. You remember we talk about 95% syndrome. You remember? So in social science, whatever construct you take, whichever construct you talk about, it's not 100%, it would be 95%, you know, on the significant level. Okay, so here this is very important, that in social sciences there may be not one, two or three reasons which are very important to get this reason, but the understanding the question one, right, your mood, your position, that would be second. And the third main important criteria would be that actually you are not able to understand, you are not able to draft that kind of question which actually capture the intelligence. And term intelligence itself, motivation itself, these all are highly dimensional and vague terms. No one can say that it's a 100% perfect. So up to what extent we can say that we are perfect? 95%. So whenever you try to operationalize this, can we operationalize intelligence? So people say with the help of IQ and EQ, we can actually capture or measure the intelligence. So capturing and measuring the term intelligence is actually called operationalize. What we are operationalizing? The term. So this is quantifying actually. Operationalizing means quantifying also the term intelligence. And the biggest problem is this, that always whatever tool, whatever technique, whatever methodology you use, whatever pedagogy you use, always this error of measurement will remain there. This error of measurement will remain there, right? Agree with me all? Say yes in your chat box. Is it clear? Tell me everybody. Say yes in your chat box. Let me see your chat box. Is it okay everybody? Clear this basic concept to all of you? That's why we say that social science things are more complicated. Research is very difficult in social science, uh, but we try our best, and nothing is 100%. Even you get a significant 99.999, even then in that situation you will have a chances of error of 0.00000001. You cannot be 100% sure in social sciences, right everybody? I hope this concept you are able to understand the message I want to convey. But as a researcher, here you can see this is our duty to go further. So here you can see answer why we can't make error 0. We don't know what is the concept or the construct. This is the problem. Many times when you define the term intelligence and a motivation, actually you don't know what is this motivation and the intelligence, but we are trying our best to capture them. Second, when people respond to measure, they would be biased or subjective, and there may be some situation that it depend on their mood, it depend on their personality also, the way they reflect on, right? And the third problem is the scale, measurement, instrument, same thing to measure the construct, right? So scale and measure instrument, they all same thing, right? There is no difference. Measure to capture construct is made of item, statement to capture the construct. So we have three concepts that we don't understand the concept. Second problem is people are biased. Third is that when you design questions, people don't understand that. So that could be the three reason. Now let's move further. Scale, questions, questionnaire, measurement, instrument, they all are same. What they do? They measure the construct. Measure to capture construct is made of, so when you measure the construct, questionnaire, measurement, instrument, they all are made of items or questions or statements. So three things are there: items, questions or statements. For example, intelligence. One question to capture the intelligence is, uh, you are you good in mathematics? Because we feel that if you are good in mathematics, you are intelligent in general, right? Please don't take it personally. So questions would be that, are you good in mathematics? This is what you can call it: item, you can call it a statement, or you can call it question, right? So similar kind of question we will ask, which will be somewhere reflecting on the construct called intelligence. So what may be the different questions you feel which can actually help us to define the term, or which actually help us to measure the term called uh, intelligence? Let me see your reflection, everybody. What kind of questions you will ask to actually measure the construct? As I one mentioned that, are you good in mathematics? So mathematics somewhere reflect on intelligence. Okay, what other question you will ask? Write in your chat box, everybody. My question, Himani, was that when you want to measure the intelligence, so you need to make some questions. One question could be that, how about mathematics? Are you good in mathematics? So mathematics somewhere reflect on the term called intelligence, that if you are intelligent, you would be good in mathematics. If you are good in mathematics, you would be intelligent. Okay, about Prayas Arora mentioned that, are you good in decision making? So you feel you have good skills as far as decision making is concerned. So if yes, it will represent on what do you call intelligence. What about others? Tell me. Can you define some area? Okay, questions related to logical reasoning. Okay, okay, great. So decision making, logical reasoning, mathematics. So see, there may be something which you cannot define in terms of questions. So that would be somewhere 5% you are not able to understand, you are not able to define, you are not able to describe, and you are not able to capture, right? So IQ is also a test, or EQ is also a test to capture the intelligence, but it's not 100% sure, right? So here, yes, one question: solving real life problem with variance. And Navjot say that, can you handle difficult situations? So these all are actually reflecting on what? They are reflecting on construct called intelligence. But still, whatever question you design and develop, somewhere some area would be there which you would not be able to think about, you would not be able to talk about, you will not able to describe that area of intelligence, and that's why you cannot capture 100% term called intelligence. Okay, so let us move further. Now these constructs are of two types. The one construct, like we mentioned, intelligence, we talk about leadership, we talk about communication. So these all are, right, engagement, performance, intelligence. These all are constructs that we already have discussed. But these constructs we have described into two types. One is reflective, another is formative. So listen here carefully which kind of construct we need to select so that we can further make analysis. That's very important over here. So pay attention, it may be a bit difficult to understand. So now let me give you some idea that what we are talking about. So you have given 4 or 5 questions which actually helping us to capture the construct called intelligence. Now, do you think all these questions should have some kind of correlation? Tell me, should there be a kind of correlation between all these questions you have asked to capture the construct called intelligence, or there should not be any correlation among these all questions or items? Let me see your reflection. What you feel? Then you will be able to understand what we will talk about. Okay. Meenakshi has asked one question, Navjot has asked question. So do you feel all these questions will have some kind of correlation? If they are correlated, okay, Divya say correlation is required. Why correlation is required, Divya? Huh. If they are correlated with each other, that means they are together capturing one construct. Agree with me, Divya? Thank you. And these all questions plus together the construct itself should have some kind of correlation. Agree? Okay. If they are not correlated, if they are these all questions are not correlated, that means they are reflecting on something else. Right? Agree? But here our duty is that if all the 30, 40, 100 questions we have in a questionnaire, together they should capture one thing, that is term called intelligence. If they are capturing intelligence, that means they will have some correlation and they would be highly correlated. Highly correlated means they are capturing the same thing. Very good. Thank you. So that is the base of discussion of this reflective and formative. So now we have to decide what kind of construct we need to select. Should we go for reflective or should we go for formative construct? Now reflective construct. Reflective construct or effect indicators reflection of the latent construct. Latent construct means which is invisible. Invisible means which is not clear, right? Hidden somewhere. It's a hidden. Hidden means, for example, intelligence. Intelligence is the hidden one. Now, whenever we have reflection kind of construct or effect indicators, the issue of reliability makes sense. And in that, you will see that if you add one more question or drop one question, right? For example, in intelligence, leadership, and engagement, we can drop one or we can add one on the basis of importance of that question, which help us to capture the intelligence. So here at the bottom you will see reflective indicators should be internally consistent. Internally consistent means what? As you have mentioned, they should be correlated to each other. Hence, we expect reflective indicators to be correlated. Oh, correlated is written here. Since they are correlated, reflective indicators are interchangeable. meaning the removal of an indicator means item or questions, does not change the essential nature of the construct, right? If you feel this particular question is not capturing the term called intelligence, then drop that question or item and bring another item or question. If you feel this question is actually helping us to capture construct called intelligence, then add that. So very simple. The beauty here is this, that you can remove any question or you can add any question. How you know that this particular question is not having any importance in this in capturing intelligence? When it is not correlated with the others, right? If new question you bring and it represent that it is highly correlated or correlated with the other items or questions, then you can keep it, otherwise you can remove it. So beauty of reflective construct is that any item or question you can add or any item or question you can take out if it is not having any correlation, right? Now here you see, let me put myself here. This is actually a latent construct means which we are not understand what is this actually. So for example, this is what this is actually intelligence. Okay, this intelligence is reflecting here in terms of y1, y2 and y3. This is reflecting on, if you want to capture this, it would be through the reflection of y1, y2 and y3. And here see lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 is what? It's a correlation between y1 and latent variable called intelligence, y2 and latent variable called intelligence, y3 and latent variable intelligence. So all these reflection of this reflection in terms of y1, y2, y3, you capture it actually. So you are actually capturing what? Latent variable. So latent variable is reflecting in terms of y1, y2, y3. y1, y2, 3, y3 is what? It's a questions. One question, second question, third question. So when you ask a question, it's always a possibility there would be some kind of error. Error, why error? Because the way you want to convey a message, the person is not getting that. Because the question you have defined in certain way, he wants to give yes, but he gave no to your answer. So each and every question will have, so these questions actually reflecting on what? They are reflecting on latent variable called this. Agree with me, everybody? So these questions are made of what? This correlation y1 plus this latent variable and plus this you can see the error. Okay, so we can calculate the, so our duty would be to calculate this correlation and correlation among them also, right? Come on, correlation among. So y1 is the ith indicator and 1 is the latent variable that affect it. And here you see error 1 is the measurement error for the ith indicator. Okay, so this lambda 1 is the coefficient giving the expected effect of n1 on y1, right? Indicator that depend on the latent variable are effect indicators. So concept wise, I think things are clear to all of you. So these question actually reflecting on what? This. It may be other way around also, that we will discuss in formative one. So I hope reflective is clear to all of you. So reflective construct, when defining a reflective construct, one views items or indicators as dependent on a latent variable. So here all y1, y2, y3 are dependent on what? Latent variable, because they are reflecting on latent variable. A measurement perspective of formative construct. So here this was up to this point, it was reflective. Now comes to the formative. A measurement perspective of formative constructs are that in many cases, indicators, indicator means the question y1, y2, y3. Indicator could be viewed as causing rather than being cause. So here You see, these are being caused by this, but if this is caused by them, let us see how is it possible. Then latent barrier measured by the indicators, that would be the formative one, right? So it would be opposite. So instead of, here you can see again a measurement perspective formative concerns are that many cases indicators questions could be viewed as causing rather than being caused by the latent variable, right? So they are causing together what? The latent variable. If this is the situation, that is called formative or causal indicator. So let me bring myself over here. So all indicator cause the latent wave construct. So in formative what happens? All indicators cause the latent construct. Reliability testing does not make any sense in formative one, and dropping of item is not allowed. You remember last one, reflective one. You can drop any item, you can add any item. For example, socio-economic status. Now in social economic status, different variable you have. For example, how do you know what is social economic status of a person? The social economic status of a person, one variable could be income of a person, right? Other variable could be education of a person. So is it necessary that income or education will have some kind of correlation? It's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. So here, this is the problem, that in socio-economic, social status, economic status, socio-economic status are made of what? On the one is your education, second is your income, right? Then third could be your caste also, that would be another. So here you see the different variables. They actually, when they actually they are not reflecting, they are formatting what? They are formatting the latent variable, that is socio-economic status over here. Same thing with human development index, right? Stress. So these are what? Formative. But we are looking for what? Our cup of tea is reflective, not formative. Because in formative, he see here these indicator x1, x2, there it was y1, y2, y3. They together, right? Formatting one latent variable, socio-economic. So this is income, this is education, this is maybe a caste or some other variable. So it's not necessary that they all will have correlation, but this together will define this together will define this together will define this. In last case, it was totally opposite, right? It was reflecting edge. Sorry. Arrow was down, and there is no, not necessary that they will correlate it to each other. So see the difference. So in social science, when you conduct a research, make sure what kind of construct you have, whether it's a formative like we have discussed, or it's a reflective one. So here you see it's totally opposite to the reflective one. So we are not into this formative kind of construct. We are into a reflective kind of construct. So remember always, everybody. Now let us take 5-minute break. I hope if you have any question, you are free, you can, without any hesitation, you can ask a question. So let us take break. So this is a reliability and validity. Here you can see, everybody, what is this concept? Let me tell you, define the concept of reliability and validity. Reliability and validity we check of our questionnaire, right? It would be a valid questionnaire if it is very close to construct. It is capturing items which are very close to a construct. Reliability would be high when it is capturing a particular phenomena of a construct, right? For example, this first here you see A. This is one question, A, 2, 3, 4. And this inner circle is your construct actually. This is intelligence. To this capture this intelligence, you have one question here, one dimension from this side, one question, one dimension from this side, one question, sorry, one dimension from this side, one question from here, one dimension from this side. Neither it's close nor it is capturing a particular dimension. This is capturing this dimension, this is capturing this dimension, this is capturing this dimension, this is capturing this dimension. And they all are far away from the center circle, which is actually a intelligence. So neither it's reliable nor it's a valid. Now comes to this one. Here also this question is capturing this dimension, this is capturing this dimension, this is capturing this dimension, this is capturing this dimension. So this is not reliable. It is capturing one question is capturing something else, second question is capturing something else, third is capturing something else, right? But they are very close. They are very close to your construct. See here, these all are far away from this inner circle, but these all are very close to the inner circle. Okay, so this is valid. This is reliable. Why? See, they all questions are together, correlated to each other, and capturing what? One dimension only, though they are far away from the inner circle. See here, these all questions are actually capturing the what? The main construct, very close, and not only close to the main construct, but they are close to each other also. So they are very reliable. And so what kind of questionnaire questions you need? You need a questionnaire which is very close, capturing the main construct, and all items are correlated together and capturing a domain, right? Particular domain. So I hope this is clear to all of you. You can see this. Now reliability. Now this was the main concept. Now let us go and check what is this reliability. Reliability actually measure of internal consistency. Internal consistency, how far you are correlated to each other, and whether items or tests of a measure capture or measure a common cause, common domain. So if they are capturing common cause, what will happen? They would be highly correlated to each other. So most common indicator of reliability is called Cronbach alpha. So go through any research paper, go through any MPhil dissertation, go through any MPhil PhD dissertation. Cronbach alpha is the first tool which you use for analysis of your research work. This actually helping you to understand up to what extent whatever questions you have designed or developed in your questionnaire, actually up to what extent, which particular common cause they are capturing. So altogether they must be capturing a certain part of an intelligence, because whole as a whole you cannot capture the term called construct called intelligence. So at least a particular common cause, common part you are capturing. I will define it more clearly, because if we are not here in the offline class, otherwise I would have described something that okay, maybe here also I have one example I believe. But before that, assumption for Cronbach alpha. Unidimensional. Unidimensional means only one dimension, not all other, not two dimension. Okay, so one dimension they are capturing. All items have same loading. Same loading means same correlation. Loading means correlation. Loading means correlation here between items, questions, and the construct itself. All errors are independent. You see E1, E2, error 1, error 2, error 2, error 3, error 4, all were related with all the items, all were interrelated. But in formative, you remember, all errors were connected with each other, related with each other. They were not here. Very simple thing, very simple. Nowadays, we have, because you have large number of data, and large number of questions. So what you do, you use it, so SPSS software or R programming to calculate Cronbach alpha. But if you don't have, large number of items or variables, then in that case, what you can do, you can suppose you have two questions, 2 by 2 questions, then you can find out correlation, and on the basis of correlation, you can easily, calculate the value of alpha, Cronbach alpha. Here you can see the Cronbach alpha value is 0.965, which is very close to 1. So if your Cronbach alpha is more than 0.7, you will be very happy, because it's highly correlated, and it's a highly correlated, you got a good value of Cronbach alpha. The information is reliable, that it is capturing a particular domain of your research, of your construct. So you should be very happy about it. Here you can see easy the formula available with us. The capital N means the total items, 1 2 3 4, good, interesting, exciting, useful. 4 options. R bar, here you can see addition of this. Just forget about this diagonal 1 1 1. Correlation with good would be always 1. You can see interesting will always be interesting 1. So either you can take down or upper this diagonal. So 0.92, here you can see we rounded it. Then 0.87, here you can see this. So add them and divide by 6, because these are 1 2 3 4 5 6 value, and this is the value. 4 into this, and down you can see 1 plus n minus 1 into, so this value is given. So easily you can calculate with hand. There is no problem, paper and pen. So there is no problem at all. So this is Cronbach alpha. Now one example of reflective construct, which is R cup of tea. So suppose you want to understand the perception towards online learning and teaching. So this comfort level actually reflect what? Perception of student learning outcome actually reflect perception. So from here actually they are reflecting on this. And then further you have comfortable implementing question. These are items. Right? So this is one construct which reflect perception towards online teaching. Then this is the formative. Here you see this is made of what? All these others items or variables. Is it necessary that education will have some kind of relation with income, or income will have some kind of relation with medical, or education will have some kind of relation with medical? It's not necessary, right? There may be other variables also. But together, if you bring it here down and add here this domain, this domain, this domain, then it would be a social economic status. But you cannot take away medical, you cannot take away education from this. But in reflective, you see different items. You can, if they are not correlated, then you take away. So here you have different domain, bring them together, it becomes social economic status. This is very important thing. Now you see these are different. For example, this is intelligence. Intelligence may be measured in this part, 3 4 5 6 domain of intelligence, right? So now 6 part, this domain would be captured by what? N1 N2 N3 N4, right? This would be captured by N4, this would be captured by N3. So like this. Now we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 points to capture the whole construct, right? So what you need to do, you need to define that, okay, so this could be, for example, violence. This whole could be a violence domain, violence construct. Employment of number, instead of employment, what you will write? Physical violence. this financial violence, this social, this legal, this sexual violence, and then ask different kind of questions which will represent physical, financial, legal, social, sexual violence, right? So this is what the whole construct you are dividing into a different variables. So these are different variables, and then further the items. So we should have this kind of uh, construct and then design and develop the question. So actually we are developing a questionnaire here. Understand construct and slowly go ahead and develop a questionnaire, right? I hope this is clear to all of you. You are able to understand what we are talking about. And here you see A, B, C, D, these all are item or questions. This is first order, we call it scientific, logically or scientifically first order. This is the second order. This would be needed when we go for factor analysis, but we are not into a factor analysis, right? This is the other way, formative one. See the difference. This it's reflecting on A, B, C, D. This is formative one, opposite to the A, B, C, D, last one, right? So athletic ability, if you want to measure, that would be based on what? Pitching practice, kicking practice, shooting practices, and then all together will make athletic ability. And as I said, it's a unidimensional. For example, leadership. Leadership could be divided into this. So this is the formative one we have discussed. This is the second order. This is first order, and these are questions or items. Just little bit about factor analysis, because when you design, now here before I go for this factor analysis, just basic idea, you have two options. Either you construct your own questionnaire or use already tested, reliable, validated questionnaire. So if you see the whole research across whole world, 80 to 90% researchers, scholars, they use already existing questionnaire. They don't try to develop and design their own questionnaire. That is very important. Note down everyone. It's a big caveat over here that you are not supposed to make your own questionnaire, right? You use already built, designed, developed, maybe a 30-year-old, 20-year-old, 10-year-old questionnaire, and you will see when you go through a review of literature, everybody have used same kind of uh, reflective questionnaire, reflective construct with same kind of questions, with same kind of questionnaire. No change in the questionnaire. So if this is like this, then you should be happy, because now you are not going for exploratory factor analysis. What is exploratory factor analysis? In exploratory factor analysis, actually you are exploring whether your questionnaire actually capturing the intelligence domain or not. So once you have used already tested, validated questionnaire, then you don't need to explore it. Otherwise, if you feel that you should go and have your own questionnaire, in that case you need to go for exploratory factor analysis. Note down this. So we will talk about this exploratory and this factor analysis, but before that, here you can see goal of factor analysis. What they do, the parsimony represents score on a large set of measure, also called measure variable. So basically, what is parsimony? Here the beauty of this is, with this small sample size, maybe 100, 200, 300, 1000, you are representing what? The whole population, right? That is called parsimony. Here, on the basis of a small score which you measure, actually you measure the variable, and that variable actually you say that this is applicable, existing in the population also. So Now the other objective or other goal, so this is one goal, that we develop a parsimony. Second is these measured variables reflect a single underlying construct. So we need to check that this particular question, these variables, they check or they measure actually a particular domain or not, or they check, they capture the different domains. So our duty is to make it clear that my questionnaire is capturing a particular domain, not all the domain. If it is uh, capturing other different domain, there is no use of research, because your research should be very focused. It should capture a particular domain only. Here you see more clear picture of exploratory factor analysis, and here it's a conformity factor analysis. Here you are not sure which question, which error is reflecting on which particular construct. So here you have I and one construct and construct. Here it's very clear. Here it's confirmed. So here you need to explore which belong to which one. Here it's clear that this 1, 2, 3, S1, S2, 3 belong to this, S4, S5 belong to this. Very simple. So already tested and validated questionnaire you have adopted from existing review of literature, then go for CFA. If not, you develop and design your own questionnaire. Then you have to go through first exploratory factor analysis, then you have to go for CFA. And I'm telling you, this is very tedious job, because here you are proposing a new questionnaire, right? And there may be a lot of issue, there may be a lot of problem when you propose a new questionnaire to measure a particular construct. First thing, that there should be a reason that why you have started your own questionnaire. Why did you design your own questionnaire when already existing questionnaire is there? So question of reliability and validity may occur when you go for exploratory factor analysis. This is another kind of research. So it's a very tedious work, very difficult task, because you need a lot of data, then a lot of group discussion, lot of focus discussion. Then you use tool and technique again and again to find out that under this domain what kind of variables we have. But if you have used already existing tested questionnaire from any review of literature, then you not to go for this, you directly go for factor analysis, right everybody? And see here the difference between exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis. Exploratory determine the number of factors, so find out how many factors, how many variables there in a particular construct. Determine whether factors are correlated or not, variables free to load whenever there is a need. Here it's totally opposite to this. Confirm the priority factor, correlation among factors is set priority. So there is totally different than this, because here you already priority know that these are the variable, these are the factor. Here you know how many are there, what kind of relationship is there, which has been tested, already validated. This is actually you are developing a new questionnaire, developing a theory. Here with this you are testing a theory. So we are most of the time here. And please, whenever you conduct a research, always use questionnaire which has been already discussed in earlier research, in the past research. It will help you, and then you go for CFA. If you go for EFA, you design your own questionnaire, then it would be a big task for you, very difficult, long, lengthy process for you, because here you are telling that I am developing a new question, a new theory, new logic for what, for proposing something new. So it would be a kind of theory. You remember inductive and deductive theory. So that is here. This is the deductive and left side is inductive theory, right? So thanks for today. I know it's a bit technical. It would be better if we have online classes. Oh, sorry, offline classes. I would have been given you more explanation, more clearance, more clarification. So we'll continue next class, and we'll talk more about our questionnaire. And thank you very much for joining today.